We are back, and the phone lines are jammed. We have a traffic report coming up in a minute, so it wouldn't be fair to get to the call. So if they just hold on a minute, we'll get to your calls. But, Senator.
Yes, Dan.
What was Tuesday like in the legislature when you made your announcement and the Senate chambers, of course, honored you?
It was one of the most explosive days in my life. I reported to my leadership of Monday that I've made my decision. They had all been trying to impress me that I should stay another term. I said to Don Williams and Marty Lee, the time has come, and I'd like to do it today, Monday. They said, no, we'll wait till Tuesday. We're doing the budget today. Well, around 4 o'clock Tuesday, we were in session, and I asked for my personal point of privilege. And I don't want people out there to think I'm clapping myself on the shoulder to my home, but they gave me such a sustained ovation. It was almost 10 minutes long, and it was sustained. And my wife standing beside me, tears, and it was the most joyful thing that ever happened to me in my whole life. Hardened lobbyists who were out in the hallway watching it on the TV cameras were crying.
Wow.
And when one of them came up to me, he said, he said, I've been here 25 years, he said. I never seen anything like that happen here before. And he said, working with you, you were always up front. If you said yes, it was okay. And if you said no, you never tried to string us along. And that I'd like to consider the secret, if I have had any success, to being straight up and dealing with people, because the Senate was not a career ladder for me. I didn't want to be lieutenant governor. I didn't want to be governor.
Right.
I didn't want to be a congressman. We got the best one in the world in John Larson.
Right.
And bingo, that was it. And when the session was over, about 5:30, 5:45, the telephone rings in the caucus room. It was United States Senator Christopher Dodd.
Wow.
In the Senate cloakroom with United States Senator Joseph Lieberman.
Wow.
Now, that may sound like nothing, but to the son of an immigrant, it was America at its best. And they said, Billy, we want you to reconsider. I said, it's too late, gentlemen. But then I spoke to Joe Lieberman, and I like Joe Lieberman. And I'm endorsing Joe Lieberman. I'm a delegate to the Democratic Convention, the 21st. Joe Lieberman's been an excellent United States Senator. The war has brought many divisions into our homes and into our country. He's entitled to his beliefs. You think differently. I think differently. Brad thinks differently. But that's what we're all about.
That's right.
But just to me, it was such a great honor. I said, I don't think I'm getting corny to them, but you guys make me feel that what better could there be in America? What better could there be?
Senator, we're going to get to calls, but first an update on traffic from Gina Mitchell. Good afternoon, Gina.
Good afternoon, Dan. We've got just a heavy ride out here. It's Friday, 84 eastbound, 43 to the Bulkley Bridge, 84 west at exit 58. The accident's been cleared. You're slow from the Bulkley Bridge out to 48, then again at 45. If you're heading north on 91, you're going to slow down 27 to 29, again at 33. And traveling south on 91, you're jammed up 33 into the 84 interchange. I'm Gina Mitchell. I'll have another traffic check in 15 minutes.
Thank you, Gina. We have another great American on the line and an inspiration story, and has been an inspiration to me as, believe it or not, you have been an inspiration to me. And following your career and just seeing the path you took has inspired me. And that's Judge Arthur L. Spada. Judge Spada, good afternoon.
Dan, great talking to you. Congratulations on an outstanding show.
Thank you.
Have achieved excellence. You maintain interest. And with the exception of today, in this particular hour, you always get outstanding guests.
Thank you, Your Honor. I consider that a compliment, Your Eminence. Thank you.
He was quoting Shakespeare. It was Ecclesiastes. That said, there's a time for living and a time for crying. So we won't give Shakespeare that credit. But I want to say also, I was there, and those lobbyists weren't crying because they were unhappy. Those lobbyists were crying because they were delighted. And I said to them, don't put your checkbook away. There's another career that looms for this man. I mean, he is irrepressible. And that you'll be getting telephone calls in 6 months or 9 months for another campaign or another dinner. But I want to say, when you become a controversial commissioner, as I was for at least the last 2 years of my tenure, sitting on top of the Department of Public Safety is always a dilemma, and you're always in a balancing act. The godfather that I had at the state capitol was Billy Ciotto, and he always stood behind me and was always protective. He was my guardian and godfather. And I also want to share with your audience that he's my golf partner and has been my roommate for these past 10 years when we take our annual summer jaunt to Vermont. But I got to say this, we always lose because he quits at the end of the second hole. See, he drives, and he plays the first hole, he plays the second hole, then he lights up his cigar, and he says, I'm tired. He says, I quit for the day. So we end up where a few of us will hit the long balls, and around the game, it's apropos, to his stature and my stature. His short game is terrific. He plays a great short game in that regard. But, people, and I don't want to take too long because I know he's got so many friends that want to call, but this is a man that started working in the mailroom at the motor vehicle department for $15 per week, and through hard work, through intelligence, through diligence, he rose to the office of deputy commissioner of that particular department. And when we had his testimonial dinner on his retirement, there were over 900 people present, and at least 800 of those present had registration license plates with three numbers or less. I got to tell you this: he became a father of 5 children. He had to work weekends in the Hartford parking lots. He also led a band, the Bel Airs, and played a lot of weddings, a lot of bachelor parties, and he was the lead player with the accordion. And those of us who have known him have so much enjoyed his music. He's brought great joy. We are just so honored to have him with us. Stanton, Secretary of War Stanton, when Lincoln died, and Billy's far from that point, said he now belongs to the ages. I'm going to say he now belongs to the Paolini Club, and he belongs to Goodie Park. And we will have our passeggiatas, that's an Italian word for an afternoon sojourn, every once in a while around the Goodwin Park with so many of his friends. But don't count him out. Don't close your checkbook. He is still breathing, which means that there is another campaign or career looming. God bless you, Dan. You do great work. And my affections to Billy, to his wife, Jean, and his 5 lovely children, who have all been very, very successful. We are going to sorely miss him at the state capitol. He was the voice of humanity.
Thank you, Judge.
God bless you.
Always. Same to you. Judge Arthur L. Spada.
Thank you, Arthur. And at my remarks when I began, I said I wasn't sure, because I'm not as learned and scholarly as you are, Your Eminence, that it was Shakespeare. I thought it might have been somebody else, but you would quickly correct it, and I thank you again for properly advising me.
All right, toll-free 1-888-574-2723 is our telephone numbers. Callers, hang in there. We'll get to you. This is a great day. Senator Billy Ciotto in studio. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We are back with State Senator Billy Ciotto, who announced his retirement the other day, 6 terms in the State Senate. Back to the phones we go. Ed Churchill is on the line for the senator. Ed, go ahead.
Frank Blesso.
Ciotto, I love you.
I love you too, Ed. You and the whole Frank Blesso outfit.
Yeah.
You were the greatest people in the world.
Playing that band for our Christmas parties.
Yeah.
And then you got so big I couldn't hire you anymore. Billy, no, I'm not going to take any time, but I just want to say I'll be on that boat with Brad Davis, but I can't walk that far. I'll be 90 years old in July.
God bless you.
I'm older than you are, but Billy, I love you.
You're a great guy, and Frank, this gentleman worked with Frank Blesso, who was a partner in Blesso Electrics, and that's where I got to meet him many, many years ago. And there's a friendship that's continuing. And he's not even a Democrat, but if you ask him, I'll tell you, he think he voted for me.
Billy, you're the only Democrat I ever voted
Wow,
for.
thank God.
There you go, right there.
Well, you're off the hook now, Ed. You don't have to do it anymore. And thank you for all your kindness, your friendship, and your support.
And good luck to you in this new program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Sal Cocola. Good afternoon, Sal.
Good afternoon to you, Dan, and good afternoon to my friend Bill Ciotto, the senator. That he leaves the place, but he leaves the place with honor. I cannot follow up what Judge Spada said and also Kevin Sullivan, because those guys, they have a title. I don't even know title, I have just one thing. I know Bill since 1948. His father, a little while ago, he says that he was playing his accordion in a little band. He was my friend from 1948.
Wow,
and at the time, my little girl, I was christening her, and he was playing for me, on my daughter's christening. So that's how long I know him. I don't want to, go and talk about a lot of little things, but one thing I'm very proud about that, he held 2 positions in motor vehicle and now in the state Senate. All right? He's leaving the place with a head high, now with the head down. And when he meets people in the street, he don't have to worry about it, to turn the head on the other side, because he's leaving the place with honorable things. So that is my way, practical way to say, Bill, best wishes to you. You got to make a decision sometime. I did to my way. You did it your way. And one time I remember your wife, Gina, she sang You Want to Hear My Way, and I was accompanied with the guitar. Beautiful lady. Best wishes, Bill.
Sal, thank you very much, and say hello to Mary for me, and hope you're both doing well.
We're doing well.
God bless you both.
Thank you, Sal. Best to Mary. Let's go to Ace in Waterbury. Good afternoon, Ace.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Wait a minute, where's Blueberry Hill? And we going to play the song? Ace, how are you?
No, how are you, Senator?
I'm good. Did you teach Brad how to count this morning?
No, it's hopeless.
You heard that.
No hope for Brad.
How's everything with all my beautiful friends? All my beautiful friends in Waterbury, city dear to my heart.
They all love you, Billy.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ace.
I want to congratulate you on a tremendous career as a public servant. Too often when somebody you know personally is elected to office in Connecticut, you are torn between local pride and fear for our state. However, you are an exception. You have served with distinction. You have served with distinction and have always been fair, honest, and dedicated in representing all the people. I hope you enjoy many more years of good health and happiness. And please, Billy, don't get too depressed following your overpaid, underachieving Yankees during your retirement.
Don't you worry about that, Ace.
And
I don't know who your team is, but the Yankees are on a roll.
Billy, they're on a roll down the Connecticut River.
That's where the Lady
But
Catherine is
one
going.
more thing. I talked to Brad today, and he wants to get you a present,
Yeah.
for your retirement. So he says, what do you think I should get him, Ace? I says, well, he smokes cigars, get him a Cohiba cigar. And he says, how much are they? I said, they're $300 to $500 a box. I heard a click on the other end. Just connected right off. He left me and you like a rag, Billy.
You're all right, Ace. Thank you.
Take care, Ace.
We didn't get his prediction for the Derby, did we?
Oh, we didn't, but maybe you'll call back tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure
you got a prediction for the Derby. What is
Well,
it?
now that I'm about to retire from the Senate, I call myself a lame duck senator, not a dead duck right now.
Right.
And I do a little handicapping in my off time, and I'll be free to follow the king of sports, the sport of kings, rather.
That's right.
And I'm going to pass out a point determined here. And another horse, these 2 horses, Barbera, either one of those 2, I think.
All right.
And point determined should be 12-1 or better. You might just risk a buck or two to have a happy day at the end of the race tomorrow night.
Well, we had a long shot last year, right?
Yeah, Giacomo.
Yeah.
And I didn't have him. He had an Italian name. I was mad at myself.
Me too. I mean, like you say, he had an Italian name. I didn't
Right.
bet him. I wasn't happy about that, but I may take you up on that point determined. All right, it's coming up on 4:30. Let's get an update on traffic from Gina Mitchell. Good afternoon, Gina.
Good afternoon, Dan. This traffic report is brought to you by the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Division of Highway Safety. 84 eastbound, still heavy from Park Road into the Bulkley Bridge again as you make your way in through East Hartford. 84 westbound, also very tight. Bulkley Bridge into 45. 91 northbound, stop and go. Airport Road into the Charter Oak Bridge. Southbound side is heavy from 34 into the 84 interchange. Something should click every time you get into your vehicle, your seatbelt. If you're caught driving without your seatbelt, you will be fined. Remember, click it or ticket. I'm Gina Mitchell. I'll have another traffic check in 15 minutes.
All right, we're coming up on news. We'll get an update from the Associated Press on what's happening news-wise, and then in 90 seconds, we'll be back with State Senator Billy Ciotto, and he is serving out his last term. He won't seek re-election to a seventh term. We'll take your phone calls at toll-free 1-888-574-2723. But first, news is next.
AP Update, I'm Carolina Bradley. Congressman Patrick Kennedy is going back to rehab. He says after a car accident the other night where he drove into a security barrier on Capitol Hill, it's clear he needs help for his addiction to prescription.
We are back, and it is 79 degrees in Hartford, 77 degrees in West Hartford, and 77 degrees in Litchfield at 4:33. State Senator Billy Ciotto with us until 5 today, and we'll take your phone calls at toll-free 1-888-574-2723. But I want to ask the Senator a couple of questions. How did you reach your decision not to run for re-election?
Good question and a fair question. My wife had gotten pretty seriously ill this past November.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, but thank God she came along and she's improving. And it gave me time to stop and pause and reflect. She won't get mad if I tell her age on the radio, Gina. We're both 76 years of it. We have 5 lovely children and 5 grandchildren. And God has been very good to us. And I stopped and took a step back. I said, I think I have my priorities out of order here. A politician cannot be a success unless he has the support of his family. That's for a male or a female. If your wife, your husband support you in this business, this is one of the most time-consuming businesses in the world. And I'm old-fashioned enough to believe if people elected me in into office and they expect me to appear at a function, I have the obligation to go. And I get anywhere from 10 to 15 calls a day at home on my own home machine. And all my life I've been taking those calls. And I noticed of late, I was starting to get a little bit annoyed with those calls, and I said to myself, something is wrong here. And I've decided, talking with my wife and my kids, 3 said stay, 2 said go, and my wife didn't say anything. But I know what she was hoping for. Yeah. And that's how I arrived at the decision. And I wrestle with myself almost every day. In the morning, I wake up and say, I'm not running. Right. By noontime, I say, yes, I'm running again. And it continued back and forth that way. And so finally, I decided it was the right thing to do. Time to move aside. There comes a time, Dan, when you have to go. Yep. There are a lot of other eager and able candidates who are looking to succeed me, and they were all gentlemen. They all came to me and said, Billy, as long as you're the senator, there's no trouble from us. Right. But as soon as I declared, well, they're going to have a luau. They're going to be a little old-fashioned political fight, and that's the system, and that's the way it's going to be. But as I say, these were bonus years to me. God's been good to me. I never figured when I got elected at age 65 I'd stay in the Senate for 12 years. I became chairman of the Transportation Committee. I met United States senators. I met governors. I even met the 2 presidents, for God's sake.
Which presidents?
I met Bush and I met Bill Clinton.
Okay.
And you know, I come from a modest background. Poor people, sons of immigrants. These things are important things to us. These are things which make America the greatest country in the world. Not that we have to agree with everybody on everything, but to be able to say these are accomplishments, I'm honored. I just and humbled at the same time. Right. I maybe you can understand. I don't know if you have to be sons of immigrants to understand it, but that's the American story.
No question about it.
That's our dream.
You're
that's
right.
this melting pot. Even in my family, I have a Jewish daughter-in-law and a Korean grandson, and I grew up in that Italian neighborhood. If somebody told me that 50 years ago, that's what I would have in my family, I'd say you're smoking bad pot. But and you know what's done for me? It's made me a better person. Right. Because the more we understand, the more we know about each other, because there's too much hate in the world today.
I agree.
Too much hate. There doesn't have to be.
You're right.
We don't have to love each other. We certainly should be able to understand and get along with each other.
Absolutely. Let's go to Frank in Hartford for Senator Ciotto. Frank, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is former State Senator Frank Barrows, and I just wanted to congratulate you on the great job you did in the Senate and as well with the Department of Motor Vehicles, because I went over there quite a bit, and I was always well received. And I know where your eating spot is, so you have to give me a call, and we could go out and have dinner.
Frank, you're a true gentleman, Frank, you and your family. And your call means more to me than you'll ever know.
Thank you.
And thank you. Are you still with the Department of Corrections?
Yes, sir.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
Not an easy place to work.
right.
Thanks, Frank.
Good luck to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Frank.
Bye-bye.
The Current, in the story it did on you the other day, had a quote that you gave regarding your parents and what they taught you. Talk about that.
You know, my parents, my friends are going to say that he's telling that same old story again, but that's part of my story. It's real. My dad came to this country in 1910, 15 years old, from Foggia in Italy to Gary, West Virginia, to work in a coal mine with his dad. They had to work and save enough money to bring his mother, brother, and sister over. My mother came to this country in 1922. They said she was a dressmaker, which meant she worked in a sweatshop for 12 hours a day for $1.25 a day, and don't think about benefits or fringes, or if you didn't work, you didn't get paid. And it was a sweatshop. Yet they met, they married, they were able to buy a 3-family home in the south end of Hartford. And my father, his last 15 years, he was a janitor at the State Armory in Hartford. And his biggest, most proudful moments when he'd come home to me in his little Italian accent, he said, "Billy, I put the flag up over the State Armory today." With the pride you could see. I get goose pimples right now just talking about that. And every morning when I drove into the legislative office building as a big shot state senator, I look at that armory and my father and his dream of America. And that's not only the Ciotto story. That could be a Greenberg story. It could be a Swenson story. It could be a Murphy story. Yeah. It's an American story. And sometimes I think we forget that today.
No question.
I think we make voters too easy today. I remember when my parents became voters, they had to go down to the town hall, raise their right hand, and be sworn in and read a piece of the Constitution or Declaration of Independence. Those two proudest moments of my family's life was when my mom and dad became citizens and when they became voters.
Wow.
Today, you can call it in or send it in the mail. And I'm not against helping, and I'm not, because I believe in helping the underdog. But I think we've become so lax in this process, we take it for granted.
That's right.
Instead of that pride that these immigrants felt. They went to night school to learn English so they could converse. Not that they were that fluent, but they wanted to get by in the English language. And I could say that about a Polish family, a Jewish family, a Lithuanian family. I could go on and on. I believe in government. That's why I got involved in politics. I learned when I was tutoring my parents for their citizenship, government was a vehicle. You could probably do the most good for most of the people if done properly.
If done properly, that's the key.
And that's the key in everything. You know, people hit on unions today. Dan, I say this in all sincerity, and I'm not blind and naive that think that they're perfect, but those union people from 50, 75, 100 years ago worked hard and gave their lives and their sweat that we have the quality of life that we enjoy in America
no question
today.
About it.
Now, don't misread me, and they're my strong supporters, and we disagree, but they're responsible for a lot of the good things that have happened to us as working people. You see the coal mine explosion in Sago.
That's right.
I believe this with all my heart. If the coal miner owners and everything had their way, conditions would never change. You have to fight with them. You have to debate. You have to negotiate. Why? Because the bottom line is always money. But and then on the other hand, you know, I'm a pretty progressive Democrat in many areas. I'm not against business. We have to have business to make sure labor has jobs. And labor has to make sure that both need each other. Right. Why should there be this adversary? What upsets me to a little degree is if the retiring chairman of the board of ExxonMobil is entitled to $400 million a year for a pension, and that company thinks so, that's fine. But please don't forget the people that work for you and the consumers whom you are serving.
Right on.
I can go on this for a long time.
I know.
I don't intend to use this as a sounding board, but when you ask me questions like that, those are the sincere things
you bet.
That come to my mind, and that's Billy Ciotto. At his worst or at his best, that's who I am, and what I am, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Okay, hold on. We're going to take a break, and Joe, we'll get to you. Other calls are coming in. We'll get to our callers, but first, let's take this 2-minute timeout.
This is Bob Hilliard and calling Billy.
Ooh. Bobby Hilliard, how are you?
Good. Pat and I want to wish you and Gene many years of good health and peace and joy in your retirement.
Bobby, you're a beautiful person. Let me just say this. Bobby's father was William Hilliard. He was my first boss and supervisor at the Department of Motor Vehicles. He was a deputy commissioner, a position that I went into.
Right.
He started out as a mail clerk as a young man, and our careers almost matched. I believe he had 6 kids, right, Bobby?
That's right.
One's father, Hilliard. Bobby's a deacon. One of his sister, Marie, Dr. Marie Hilliard, is the lobbyist for the Archdiocese. Beautiful people, and it's a great call to get. And Bobby retired as principal auditor in the state of Connecticut. Quite a family.
Wow.
And you give my best to that lovely Polish wife of yours.
I will, Billy.
Bobby, thank you.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Bob. Toll free 1-888-574-2723 is our telephone number if you have questions for Senator Billy Ciotto. Senator, what motivated you at the age of 65 to seek political office? And was it the first time you had sought elective office?
It was the first time. I had retired from the motor vehicle department, had been retired for 5 years now. And my town chairman and the town chairman of Newington approached me. The seat was vacant because Senator Balducci decided he didn't want to. He became a candidate for governor at that time, and the seat was going to be vacant. They said, "We think you'd make a good senator." I said, "Are you people crazy? I'm 65 years old." I said, "I've been retired. I'm taking my wife to Florida and to Aruba, 2 vacations." They said, "See us when you get back." So I shrugged it off. I came back. They came at me again. I really wanted to do it, but I said to my wife, "What do you think, Gene?" She said, "The kids and I have been talking about it. If you want to do it, go for it." And that's how it came about, quite frankly.
Right.
And the town chairman at the time was a gentleman named Frank Aida from Newington, and Shirley Steinmetz, who's still our town chairman of Weathersfield. And they were my first supporters and advocates. And ever since then, it's been 12 beautiful years.
And you subscribe to the Lyndon Johnson theory, press the flesh.
Press the flesh. I tell all young politicians, first off, if they come to me, I said, make sure your wife supports you or your husband supports you. And then remember, you belong to the people now. A little bit of you has to go. People like to be acknowledged. When you shake their hands and say, "How are you, Dan? How are you, Tony? How are you, John, Art?" They like it. It doesn't cost a politician anything. But you got to be sincere about it. I don't mean be a phony.
Right.
People know when I know when I speak, and I've been doing a lot of speaking in the last 12 years. When I speak from my heart and my mind without notes or anything, I see how the attention span grows out there. Sometimes you're reading from a prepared script. You maybe don't even believe yourself, those are words. You're reading them.
Right.
I mean, you believe them, but it's not the same.
You're right.
And you have to have a little passion in this. You have to. If you don't believe in this, what are you doing here? You're trying to convince people that you're saying the right thing, believing the right thing. If they see that you're lukewarm about it, people aren't stupid. You can't fool them. I remember campaigning one Saturday morning in front of a nice grocery store in Weathersfield and passing out flyers. I'm Billy Ciotto. The guy said, "I know who you are." I said, "Uh-oh." He says, "And I'm a Republican." I said, "Well, hey, maybe something you'll think about vote for me." He says, "I vote for you every time." I said, "Wait a minute." Now, I was happy. I said, "Do you mind if I ask?" He says, "I'm asking you why." He said, "I don't mind asking." He says, "You appear to be more sincere to me than the other candidates. When I see you or hear you," I said, "Well, I thank you for that." And I am. But these things show, they project. People can tell if you're a cold fish or if you're really a warm duck.
You can't fool the public.
And care about them. You ain't fool them once, you won't fool them too many times. And that's how I got involved in. Right. But even way before that, when I was 14 years old, I tell you, I was tutoring my parents. Can I tell this story?
Go ahead.
The day came when my father and mother had to go to the immigration bureau to take their tests for citizenship. So I figured when I got home from school, that would be a big feast at our house that night. My mother and father become citizens. My mother could whip up a meal, and nobody could. I got home. My mother said in Italian, "State zitto, be quiet." I said, "What's wrong, Ma?" She says, "I passed, and your father didn't." Madonna, you know what that meant to an Italian male?
Right, yeah.
And my father was furious. But, we had to be quiet. But he said, "But I'm going back." And 6 months later, he became an American citizen.
Wow.
And in the 5th grade in school, my teacher would say to me, "Biagio, you know so much about government." I said, "Mrs. Dunn, I'm teaching it every night." How many congressmen from Connecticut? How many United States senators? How many Supreme Court justices? What were the terms of the president? Who was the first president? And I said, the government fascinated me. I began to see it as a vehicle where you could help and do for people, better than anything else.
Yeah.
And I got bit by that bug, but the sting is not as bad right now, but I'll make you laugh. I was with Senator Dodd a week or so ago, and I said, I read where you have this itch to become president. I said, well, let us help you get rid of that itch. Let us help resolve it, because if we could ever get a guy like Chris Dodd to be president, I think this country would be very well off. I know there's people out there going to say, what does he know? But that's what I believe. I see him as a compassionate, humane, dedicated man.
Senator, thank you. 79 degrees in Hartford, 77 degrees in East Hartford, 77 degrees in Vernon at 4:56. Final couple of minutes with State Senator Billy Ciotto. When you look back, Senator, on your 12 years, what will you list as your legislative accomplishments?
Well, there's many.
Are you chairman of the Powerful Transportation Committee?
Yeah, we put through a huge bill this year, and last year also. You know, this Michael Gallis came up with a report. He's a famous consultant on traffic congestion. So he said Connecticut was on the verge of becoming a cul-de-sac between New York and Boston. If we can't move our goods, if we can't move our manufactured stuff, if we can't get our people to work on time, if our highways become so overly congested, people will leave us. Manufacturing will become nothing. Connecticut is too smart to have that happen. I take my hat off to Governor Earl. Last year she came up with a $1.3 billion package in transportation area. This year the Speaker and the President Pro Tem of the Senate came up with, originally was a $6 billion, but it's been reduced to $2.3 billion over the next 10 years. A rail line from New Haven to Springfield, an offshoot to Bradley Field, the busway, which is still a little controversial between New Britain to Hartford, a rail line from Worcester to New London. We got all kinds of things. If these things work out, we should be fine. But that's part of my I like to think of some more humane things. The more money we put in to help the mentally ill, the mentally retarded. Those are things that are close to my heart. And I believe that's the main function, or one of the most important functions of government.
I agree.
To help those who cannot help themselves.
Yep.
You know, and Kevin was 100%. One of the most difficult votes I had to make, Dan, was on same-sex unions.
Right.
I voted no. Yet, and I told my caucus, my vote is representative of my life. I was brought up in a Catholic family, my heritage, my tradition, my beliefs. I believe in marriage between a man and a woman. I said, this morning when I left my house, I have a daughter who's 42 years old and a lawyer. She called and asked me to vote one way, and my wife told me I should vote another way. And I said, to my daughter, I sleep with your mother, you know. Well, to make a long story short, that was one of the most difficult votes I ever made, because I had sat down with the people from Love Makes a Family in the Congregational Church in Middletown that October, 24 gay and lesbian couples, and I'm saying to myself, this is difficult. And it was difficult. It was supposed to be an hour meeting. It lasted 2.5 hours, just me talking to them. And one of them said, what would you say if one of your 5 kids came up and told you that she was gay or lesbian? I said, I love you. You're my daughter and my son, but sit down. We got a rough 50 years ahead of us. And one of them told me for the first time in 14 years how her mom had acknowledged her at a bar mitzvah the night before. This is my daughter and her partner. And I said, you know how difficult that could have been for your mother?
That's right.
So that's some of these emotional issues up there are they're not as easy as people think they are if you're a conscientious legislator.
Senator, I wish we had another hour.
Well, maybe sometime.
You bet. We'll have you back.
Dan, it flew by for me, and I appreciate you inviting me.
You're welcome.
I'm a dead duck almost. A lame duck, but not a dead duck, as I said.
I'm honored you came in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.